We will continue to look at how do we calculate all possible outcomes in this video. So let's take a look at some examples and find out how do we calculate all possible outcomes of these various events. So the first example is, what is the probability that I was born in the month of January? Well, what are possible outcomes? I could have been born in the month of January or February or March or April or May or June, July, August or September, October, November or December. I could have been born on any one of these 12 months. So we say that there are 12 possible outcomes. Let's take a look at a second example. Next week, let's say I need to go to a store to buy a pen. What is the probability that next week I'll go to the store on Wednesday? So what are possible outcomes here? Well, I can go to the store next week on a Sunday or Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday or Friday or Saturday. So I can go to the store next week on any one of these 7 days. So we say the total possible outcomes in this example is 7. It's important to contrast these two examples. In the first example, we were not focused on which day of the year or which day of the week, but we focused on which month of the year. In the second example, we focused on which day of the week. So even though both examples are related to some sort of a time-based event, but in order to find out the possible outcomes, we really have to apply and find out the scope of what the event is about. Let's take a look at some more examples. So let's say there are 4 red balls, 3 white balls, and 5 blue balls in a bag. Without looking inside, I randomly pick a ball. What is the probability that I picked a white ball? So let's try and visualize. So let's say these are our 4 red balls. Here we have our 3 white balls. And finally we have our, 5 blue balls. So we have 4 red balls, 3 white balls, and 5 blue balls. Now, if I were to pick one ball, how many possible outcomes are there? So one way to think about that is, let's visualize and let's name each of the balls individually. So for all the red balls, we'll prefix them by the letter R. So we have R1, R2, R3, R4. These are our 4 red balls. Similarly, for the white balls, we'll prefix them by the letter W, W for white. So we have W1, W2, W3. And finally, the blue balls will be B1, B2, B3, B4, and B5. This naming convention is arbitrary. The point here that we are trying to make is that these are individual balls. So if I were to pick any one ball, I can pick any of the 4 red balls, any of the 3 white balls, or any of the 5 blue balls. So total possible outcome here is 4 plus 3, 7, plus 5, 12. So 12 possible outcomes. Now let's take a look at this example, which is kind of similar to the last example. Here we have 10 red balls, and I were to pick one ball out of these 10 red balls. So what are total potential outcomes here, total possible outcomes here? So these are our 10 red soccer balls. So even though in this example all the balls are of the same color, but we have to keep in mind that these balls are individual balls, right? So if we were to name them again, we can say the balls are named as R1, R2, R3, R4, R5, R6, R7, R8, and R10. So there are 10 individual balls, and if I were to pick one ball, there are 10 different ways. So there are 10 potential outcomes here. Now let's take a look at one final example here. So let's say we have an aeroplane that unfortunately loses control in the air and it crashes in a field. So what are all possible outcomes as to where the plane can crash? So here shown in the green is the field, and this is our aeroplane shown in the blue. So what are all possible outcomes for this unfortunate event? So the plane unfortunately loses control and crashes. Now the plane can crash anywhere in the field. So it can crash here, it can crash here, it can crash here, here or here. So we have to capture the essence of the fact that the plane can crash anywhere in the field. So how do we do that? Well, we have to find out the entire area of the field to make sure that we capture the fact the plane can crash anywhere inside the field. For this event will be the area of the field.